Yeah, so I was working really hard to promote this conference back then. It was the first year. And I was pulling out all the stops. I was trying to court the big guys, like Ryan Drake, trying to get him talking about our conference. And here we are, we've come full circle. Here he is standing on the stage and he's hosting. And I couldn't be prouder of you, Ryan. It's a beautiful beard that you're working on still to this day. But it won the battle. Hi, everybody. I'm David Christopher. I'm the Director of Marketing and Growth at Tailwind. We're a social media tool for Pinterest and Instagram. We're actually the largest tool for Pinterest in the world. And we're one of the largest for Instagram today. And we're based out of Oklahoma City, which is pretty exciting. And I'm here to talk about community building. Now, community building, I feel, is a topic that not a lot of people talk about, not a lot of people get excited about. There's not a lot written about it, but it happens to be the thing that has driven success for us. I was actually having coffee with a friend who's here today recently, and he said, but community building, isn't that just social media? And I was like, wait a second. Just social media, like social media is important, but also, no, Mother Hubbard. I was like, community building is the crucial part of our strategy, so it turns out. So I want to share with you guys what we've learned about community building. We've gone 60% increase year over year impressions at the top of our funnel, and we track everything through our funnel from top to bottom. And that's great, right? 60% impressions, but 120% new customers. So what does that mean? Well, we got twice as convincing. And how did we do it? We identified the pieces of our funnel that were most effective, and we leant into them. And what we found was that the pieces of our funnel that were most effective were all the ones where people had recommended us, which is community. It was a company-wide effort. That's the first thing I really want to drive home, was that this wasn't just marketing. And I'm going to challenge you to think a little bigger than marketing today. There's a picture of some people that's supposed to represent community. I was at the dental hygienist the other day, and I have a new, not genital hygienist, it's dental hygienist. And she's just out of college, and she's not very good, and it's painful. And she's getting better, but it's still painful. And so I get her talking about stuff. And it turns out she's a huge Taylor Swift fan. And I also a big Taylor Swift fan. I think she's a genius. I said it. So she's going to the concert in Dallas. I've never been to a Taylor Swift concert. I'm not there yet, but maybe one day. And she's going to the conference. She's super excited because she's been really active on the Taylor Swift forums, talking up Taylor. And she's a musician. Maybe she's creating videos. I'm not sure. But she's super excited because she's hoping she's going to get invited into the VIP room. It's called the Rep Room with her new album, being Reputation. So what Taylor and her team do is they sort of scour the internet, blogs, forums, and stuff, for folks who deserve to be invited to her Rep Room. And then these folks get to meet her. And if you Google or you look on YouTube for Met Taylor Swift in Rep Room, there are more than 1,000 videos of folks explaining how they got chosen, why they got chosen, and what the experience was like. And the experience this is how it feels, right? It feels just sort of the best feeling ever, I guess. And, it's kind of an amazing thing that Taylor's done here. And her team. I guess maybe she didn't do it by herself, but she should be standing here, actually. Why didn't we get Taylor Swift to do this? But it's kind of an amazing thing that's been done here. She created a real community around her fans. And that's important because what she's providing is more than just music. To belong is a fundamental human need. And that's kind of what it looks like to belong. This is the golden circle. A TED talk by Simon Sinek is a nice way into this model. But the idea essentially is that we're not motivated by the what, the outer circle. We're not motivated to buy Apple computers because they're beautifully designed computers. We make beautifully designed computers. That's not how Apple approaches. They approach us by why they do what they do. And the reason why they do what they do is because they think differently. They challenge conventions. And therefore, we make beautifully designed computers. It's much more compelling. And the reason it's much more compelling is because the outer circle there, what? It's the neocortex that's working, which is responsible for language. It's responsible for sort of rational logic. It's the thing that sorts out all the functions when you're kind of making a decision about purchase. So it can do this, it can do that, but it's not the thing that makes the decision. That's the limbic brain. That's the why. So what you need to figure out is the why behind what you do, which is your mission. And if you can activate your customers to the why, then you can create a really effective community. What Simon Sinek says is you shouldn't be looking for the people who want what you sell. You should be looking for the people who believe what you believe, both in terms of your customers and folks that you employ, your team. So you want to empower your customers to help solve your mission. And at Tailwind, our mission is to make world-class marketing easy for everyone. Everyone. It's a big mission. We got a long way to go. It's not easy yet, right? You guys are here. You're watching all of this. It's really hard. But it's a big mission. And if we can get marketers excited about the mission, about helping each other to make marketing easy, we've created a virtuous circle. So I've got about 120 slides. If you want them, just mention us at Twitter, Instagram, brain, Instagram. It's important. And we'll send you the slides. This is a traditional marketing funnel. You guys are all familiar with it. So customers at the top, they're aware, move through consideration, preference, purchase, loyalty. Ultimately, they become advocates for your brand. There's a lot of talk recently that the funnel is not enough. We need to kind of get better, make a better funnel. And one of the models that I kind of like is this. It's by the Pedowitz group, and they call it TPG1, which is a really crap name. So I call it the infinite funnel, which I think is better. There's acquisition, which is kind of similar to half of the funnel we were looking at before. So we're looking at moving from somebody being unaware of our brand, they become aware, they go into consideration, evaluation, they make a decision, and then there's onboarding, adoption, value realization, loyalty to your brand, and advocacy. And the clever thing that the Pedowitz group have done, those clever folks, they made it into an infinity symbol so that it touches the unaware, and boom, we're right back into it. What clever folks. And of course, advocacy can mean a customer telling another customer about an upsell, or it can mean a customer telling somebody who's never used the product to use the product. But this connective tissue is the leverage point that I'm talking about. That's where community lives, as far as I'm concerned. It's greasing that from loyalty advocacy to reaching the unaware. Word of mouth. For us, we track things, we have great data, and we track things pretty obsessively. Community drives 7 times more sales for us than non-branded SEO keywords. And I'm an ex-SEO guy, so that was kind of hard for me to get my head around. To realize that what I was really good at, wasn't the thing that was going to solve the problem for us of growth. It's a thing called Maslow's hammer. The idea is that if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And our industry has become so deep. Each of us have had to build such deep skills, because it's really complicated, this stuff, that many of us are walking around with a single hammer, thinking everything is a nail. And I was. But what I would challenge you all to do if you really want to solve the really interesting marketing problems is to get more tools into your belt. And that's part of the reason why you guys are here. Today you're learning about new things, different disciplines. Everything isn't a nail. This is my model for the benefits of community. It's a little bit like what's on Wikipedia, but I made it into a table. So it's mine now. There are 4 different it's yours. There are 4 different types of communication in this model. Prospect to prospect. The benefit here is transparency. And the feeling that your prospects get, i.e. people who are interested in your product but haven't yet bought, is they feel safe. Now, I don't have a lot of great things to say about this. It just is a fact that it exists, so I put it here. Really, this is like 2 people walking into a Chinese restaurant and saying, hey, I heard about this on Yelp. Oh, really interesting. I read a Facebook review. You know, great. See you later. They're prospects. They're in a business. Now, if you walked into a Chinese restaurant and you weren't allowed to talk to the other patrons, you should be worried, right? And that's not the kind of environment you want. And if you're running a business like that, then you're probably doing something wrong. So you can nurture spaces where prospects can interact. And Confluence has always been something, has always provided this for Bigwing, the agency that puts it on. A lot of effort goes into putting on Confluence. But I think this is one of the reasons why it's important to the community, but also for Bigwing. For us at Tailwind, we run Facebook Lives, and this is where a lot of this happens for us today. This is Elisa Meredith, our content marketing manager, on the right, and we're talking to Pinterest, the head of product at Pinterest. And we're answering the questions that real Pinterest marketers have, because we're Pinterest geeks, and 517 comments on this live, because we were asking the right questions. 50,000 views, and many, many, many of them are not Tailwind members today. But we're providing a space for them to get their questions answered. Downstream from this, we created a blog post. I think it's 87 links to this blog post. Here's one of them, 203 comments just on one of the posts that rounded up the things that we were talking about. In this, many, many of prospects are thinking about Pinterest and advancing as marketers in the context of something that Tailwind did, which is useful. Like I say, I don't have a lot to say about that, but this one I have a lot more to say. Customer to prospect communication. This is where your customers are talking to your prospects. The benefit here is word of mouth. Now, if your ears are not pricking up and you're thinking, ooh, word of mouth, that sounds valuable, then you haven't been listening to many, many marketing speakers for many, many years. It is valuable, and I'm going to try and convince you of that. Once again, the feeling is confidence, right? You want your potential customers to feel confident in making a purchase. This is Nielsen's Global Trust in Advertising. Every year they come out with it. Every year across the world, the #1 trusted advertising source, recommendations from people I know. The Word of Mouth Institute says that one offline word of mouth impression, so Tailwind, they're good for Pinterest and Instagram management. You guys should use them. Creates more sales than 5 to 200 paid media impressions. I did the math on our funnel, and for us, it's more like 200 paid media impressions, which means that one offline word-of-mouth impression for us is worth about $26 of revenue over the lifetime of a customer. Not bad, right? That's something we want to push. So what drives word of mouth? Well, I really like this study. I did some hard work for you guys, by the way. I've never given this before. I don't know. Maybe I'll never give it again. But I did a lot of research. This is a good study. What drives word of mouth? The role of product and originality and usefulness. So the 2 axes, right? They're usefulness and originality. Again, they just used a bunch of words, but I put it on a graph for you. So it's mine now. So they didn't use these words, but if you're low in usefulness and you're low in originality, I call that crap and boring. You have a crap and boring product. Nobody's going to want to talk about it. Nobody's really going to want to use it. Nobody's going to buy it again. Example, I'm going to use the Harley-Davidson perfume. It kind of speaks for itself, right? So it's a bit of a no-starter. If you're interesting but crap, that means you're high in originality. People are going to talk about you, but actually people aren't really going to use you very much. It's like a fidget spinner. Useful but boring. The new version of a printer. You know, it's a little bit more useful, but I'm not going to go talk about it because people will think I'm boring. Interesting and useful, this is where you want to be, right? You want to be high on usefulness, high on originality, drives word of mouth. A mop. what? The miracle mop. I have an old dog, so, I got to clean up a lot of urine. It's a good product. See, I'm telling you about it right now. Okay, so the Miracle Mop is a self-wringing plastic mop with a head made from a continuous loop of 300 feet of cotton that can be easily wrung out without getting the user's hands wet. That sounds useful and original, and that's from the Wikipedia page. If you can sell it like this on the Wikipedia page, then you can sell this thing. Obviously, there's a movie, right? But you may be thinking, I'm not super useful and super original to a whole bunch of people. Well, it's not necessarily about being that for everybody. What if I was a biker, I'm not a biker, in case you hadn't guessed. What if I was a biker, though? Maybe it would be like this. Maybe I'd be like, I don't care about mops. I don't clean my house. What I care about is Harley Davidson perfume, because I don't clean my body. It's a different customer, but they're excited about your product. It's crap and boring to me, but it's interesting and useful to you. So the question for you all is, who finds your product interesting and useful? Because that's your community. It doesn't have to be everybody. It can be small. There's money to be made there. But if you're not useful and interesting to anybody, you probably have a product problem. And I've heard this. Product isn't my responsibility. I'm a marketer. Well, there are 4 Ps, Mother Hubbard. You remember Marketing 101? Price. Well, I'll do an order of what's on the slide. I don't want to get myself confused, embarrass myself. Product, price, like by saying I go to a genital hygienist. Product, price, place, promotion. That should be a thing. For bikers. They just spray you with the Harley Davidson scent. Okay, moving on. Product, price, place, promotion. Product. What this is saying is, fundamental to marketing are the 4 Ps. Product is fundamental to marketing. Why is it fundamental to marketing? You need to know who your audience is. You need to know them backwards and forwards. You need to know who your competitors are. You need to know them backwards and forwards. You need to understand what needs your customers have. You need to funnel that through to product so that you're building things that people want. And then you need to be able to position those things. You understand the customers, you understand the product, your positioning. Often place is replaced with positioning. You're positioning the product in such a way that it resonates and will sell. Price, you're trying to extract the maximum value from everybody, from each of the different segments that you have, each of the different price segmentations that you have. That means willingness to pay. How willing, you should be running surveys about willingness to pay. How willing to pay are various different people for different price points so that you can extract maximum value. That's marketing. Place, where are you going to sell? Coke, famously, always want a can of Coca-Cola within arm's reach. Brilliant. Promotion. Promotion. I spent most of my marketing career thinking that marketing was promotion. Just promotion. Oh, what was I thinking? For so long, I was content to let somebody else, the rest of the organization really, determine product, price, place, and then hand it to me and say, now go promote. Well, marketing is bigger than that. You can have more of this pie. You can be more fundamental. It's a spine that runs right through the business, right? It's a customer creation engine, marketing. You need to understand all of it if you're going to be a really kick-ass marketer. Let's get to work. Empower yourself. Maybe you work in an organization with silos. Well, what do you empower yourself with? I'm just a marketer. I'm a lowly, humble marketer. Yeah, right. Know your customer. That's my solution for you. If you're the person who walks into the room with the best knowledge of who the customers are, who the potential customers are, what the best segments are, how big they are, what they want, you're the most important person in most conversations in most organizations. And if that sounds too hard, come join us at Tailwind. I was working on a bridge for this. I really couldn't figure it out. Anyway, we're hiring. Okay, so word of mouth. We're hiring /careers. Okay. I didn't give you long enough to look at the URL. So back to word of mouth, right? So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how we did this with word of mouth, okay? Enough for the lecture. You guys know where I'm going. Be as human as is humanly possible. This is Melissa Meganson. She's here today. Can I get a woohoo, Melissa? There's a lot of her. There's like 10 of her. She's amazing. She does so much work. She was our marketing manager. We've promoted her recently to community manager. Why? Because she was doing great community work all along, and recently we realized how important that is. But here she is at the bottom of our newsletter. Hey, Melissa. I love this, and this is a great idea that she had. She's going to be on a panel tomorrow, by the way, so you guys all get to meet her then. This little Harry Potter-esque, like little GIF, it's brilliant, right? We get so much great feedback about this. Melissa, I just want you to know how much I love seeing your smiling face and waving hand each time I open my email newsletter from Tailwind. That's adorable. Empower your advocates to be part of your team. How do we do this? Well, on Facebook, this is Facebook Live, okay, one of our Facebook Lives. Again, Elisa Meredith, she actually was originally a Tailwind member. She speaks at Social Media Marketing World. She's super bright on Pinterest. And so we hired her. And she runs these Facebook Lives for us, where she brings other really influential people in the Pinterest marketing community. We raise them up as experts. And then our community asks questions, and everybody's having fun and learning. We have an ambassador group. When we can't make an event, we will reach out to our ambassadors on this Facebook group and say, hey, can anybody do this event? And they're, yeah, sure, I can do it. Align your interests. We have a heart at the top of our dashboard. And basically, if you send a free month of Tailwind, you'll get a free month when somebody upgrades. And when that happens, you get a sweet little email with one of our customer success team, Molly. She pops up and she says, hey, thank you. You made your first successful referral. There are some people who have like 6 years worth of Tailwind. Like, they're never going to have to pay. But that's great. We love it. Empower them with knowledge. This is the last email in our drip campaign for onboarding. It tells you how important it is to be working with an official Pinterest and Instagram marketing tool, which is what we are. We see the messaging for this across the ecosystem. This is Buffer, they're one of our competitors. They asked their audience, what type of posting strategy do you use on Pinterest? And a bunch of people jumped in and said, we use Tailwind, your competitor. And they specifically called out things that, messages that we kind of, encourage, that were completely Pinterest approved, for example. Another study, accessibility is the #1 driver of discussion. Man, these academic studies, they do not know how to communicate. What they mean is, most people talk in small talk, so be the small talk. That's what they're saying. This is an example that I've actually used at Confluence before, but I just love it so much. It's a little burger place in Dublin called Bunsen Burger, and they've put their whole menu onto a business card. And what that communicates is just their obsessive desire to make the best burgers. That's it. And everywhere you go in Dublin, people are like, oh, have you tried Bunsen yet? And they'll hand you a card. Here's the menu. And you just know instantly, like, oh, they really care about burgers. Okay. Tee up impactful conversations. So a couple of ways we do this. This is our events strategy. Basically, there are Pinterest and Instagram. There's an Instagram checklist with a tribes kind of thing on the back in the bags here. We got to put them in free because I'm speaking. But normally, here's what we do. We figure out where our members are talking. We're the #1 Pinterest tool, so generally they're going to talk about us. And then we'll reach out to the event and we'll say, hey, how much does it cost to put something in your bag? And they're like, you want to put something in our bag? Okay, nobody wants to put stuff that we just throw that in, There's never anything good in our bag. And so they say, I don't know, $100. We're like, yeah, well, we don't have much budget, so that sounds about good. So for about 50 cents, maybe, per person, we'll put one of these, a double-sided checklist in bags at events. And then we'll send this picture or something like it to our members who are speaking. We'll say hey guys, this will be in the bag. Don't forget to call out that it's in there. There's a free month for anybody who uses it. So we turn a $100 sponsorship into somebody standing on the stage saying, oh, I totally use Tailwind. And by the way, there's a free coupon in your bag, along with a super useful item that you can kind of teach you how to use a checklist for Pinterest and Instagram. We sent this, so we have a product called Tailwind Tribes. And in it, basically, Pinterest marketers come together in a tribe to share content into the tribe around a specific niche, right? So let's say they're food bloggers. And so all these food bloggers come together, they post all their content into the tribe, and then they post out of the tribe, each other's content out of the tribe. So what it does is it speeds up finding content, and it increases the reach of everybody who's in the tribe. We have a bunch of tribe owners at this stage who own tribes that have generated more than 1 billion impressions for the members of the tribes. So we sent them all sweatshirts. Now, this is an impactful conversation, right? If somebody's wearing a Tailwind sweatshirt that says, "Found my tribe at a conference," whatever, and you say, like, "Oh, that's a cool Tailwind sweatshirt. Where'd you get it?" And they say, "I own a tribe. It has 1 billion impressions." So you're like, "Can I join your tribe, please?" That's impactful, right? So be trying to lace those impactful conversations, be the small talk. When you get word of mouth, you got to amplify it. Get your brand on TalkWalker. Basically, for free, you can set up TalkWalker alerts. You'll be notified by email when your brand gets mentioned anywhere, and then turn these into social posts. Let people know that people are talking about you. At the end of our newsletter, we have what we're reading section where we pull some of those things together with other useful stuff. So just to reiterate to people like, wow, a lot of people care about Tailwind. We see it this is a social media post where someone's like, "Hey, I was in the Tailwind email, how awesome." Okay, benefits of community, number 3, customer to customer, which helps adoption of your product, and it gives a feeling of belonging. Doesn't everybody want to belong? Okay, so Tribes, that product that I told you about, it was an invite-only beta, rolled out to 19 people. By the time we launched it, had 10,000 people using it. And they were promoting it with things like this pin, like, "My Pinterest tribe, join, it's free." And then they're supporting each other in Facebook groups. So we have nothing to do with this Facebook group, but here's somebody asking a question about how to use Tailwind more efficiently. And somebody else in the community is answering that question. Now, you got to handle this with care, community, because you're creating an echo chamber, you're creating a microphone, a megaphone. They're valuable, this criticism that you're going to get, but it's also extremely vocal. And it can go wrong. When we publicly launched Tribes, we introduced pricing, and people did not like it at all. They felt like we had taken something away from them, which was a stupid mistake. We should have realized. This is seriously such an insulting slap in the face. I would never have switched to Tailwind if I had thought that I would ever have to pay to use Tribes. Oh, this is a tweet we got. Oh, man. Okay, so we messed up. But we had to just be upfront. So we talked to everybody. Not everybody, but we talked to a lot of people. And we addressed their concerns one by one in this mega email that featured our CEO, like, waving. We're all about the waving. We just, like, wave our way out of everything, you know? That's my big tip. So we really addressed everything, and we kind of apologized and tried to undo everything that we could, that we'd done wrong. And ultimately, we turned them around. And then we started to see our customers creating pieces of content like this. Tailwind Tribes power-ups. Will they grow your Pinterest traffic? A case study. Customers convincing each other of how they've managed to get the value out of Tailwind Tribes, why it was useful for them. This slide isn't so good. The 4th communication type is customer to company. And actually, this is really key. This is the most important part, perhaps, for our company. The benefit is innovation. So this is where your customers are talking to you. And the feeling is loyalty. All of these feelings are so strong. You got to listen to your customer. Tag and record their feature requests. Survey them. Talk to them one-on-one. We have a thing called customer development calls in the software business. We spend like an hour and a half with an individual customer saying, what problems are you really trying to solve? How important is it to you to solve that problem? How painful is it to you to have to deal with this situation that you're in? How do we solve that problem? And then we go try and solve it. This is Frankie, one of our developers. He's kind of a legend. One morning, he took a customer development call. He really liked the idea that came up. He thought it made a lot of sense, ran it by the team, built it that day. We tested it, launched it, and that evening he communicated with the customer, hey, that feature that you wanted, it's live. And this is that customer. I did a marketing customer development call with them. And they said, it speaks volumes about a company who values its customers and our opinions. It creates a real feeling of loyalty with me. Like, she used the word loyalty. And that's where I got the feeling of loyalty from. I know. That's so perfect. She's actually really awesome. I love her. You heard of the IKEA effect? It's a cognitive bias. Look up cognitive biases and go to the Wikipedia page. There's like 200 of them. It's really interesting. So the IKEA effect, though, is an interesting one. We love more the things that we help to build, like shitty IKEA furniture. Who could explain the value of your product better than your customers? So what do I do when it comes time for us to launch a product? I read every customer development call notes that we have ever done for that product. It's like a gold mine. It's insane. It's so useful. And I use it to position the product, right? That's the positioning moment. This is from our tribe's landing page. The two core competitive advantages that evolved from reading those custom development calls are, one, or the value props. One, find more content fast. Find great content fast. Two, reach new, highly receptive audiences. These are the two main things. There's a small third one, which is community. It's important too. But these two are the main ones. And this is that part of that landing page that really drove that home. Get valuable exposure when tribe mates choose to share your content with their fans. And then these actually came directly from the customer development calls. We're using their own words, to talk to our own audience, to help them understand the value. And then I sent, or we as a team sent equipment like mics and lights to folks to record on their mobile phones. And you can, at the end of the landing page, you can watch people, because it's a community product, right? Like, you want to feel like these are people that I want to be in a community with. You can watch them explain the value. We asked the question, how would you explain the value of Tailwind Tribes to somebody who'd never used it before? And then we took those and we put them at the bottom of the landing page. Customer success is really important for this part of, this is our customer success team. It's grown a little bit since then, but it's this part, right? They're like pushing through to that where the community building will just, or the community manager will just pick it up around loyalty. But they're responsible for more than just answering tickets, right? Their role is to help customers adopt and get the full value from your product. That's the difference between customer success and customer service. So they're pushing through here. The picture that I'm trying to build for you here is that everybody at this company, at a customer-centric company, is responsible for moving people through this funnel. Everybody is crucial. This is adoption, retention, upsell, advocacy. Here's a real customer quote. I've had so many questions as I've grown with your app, and you guys always respond with the best attitudes and are so helpful. Yes, we have Slack. We have a channel. It's called Share the Love. Share the love with your team, because you're trying to create the feeling of love and belonging, not just between your customers and each other and prospects, but with your company too. It's a relationship. This is Sam. She's a product designer. We use NPS ratings. It's 1 to 10. How likely would you be to recommend this tool to a friend? And a 10 rating here. You're my longest relationship in the realm of social media, blah, blah, blah. But Sam is basically saying, I love this one. And then 6 other people in the company are saying, like, yeah, I love that too. We feel connected. Another cognitive bias, we tend to like people who we believe like us. I like you guys, by the way. So to recap, the benefits of community. There they are. Transparency, word of mouth, adoption, innovation. But it's about more than that, right? It's about the why. You want to connect. It's about the feelings. So what are the feelings? Your prospects will feel safe. They'll feel confident in making a buying decision for your product. Your customers will feel like they belong. They'll feel loyal. They'll get the warm fuzzies. They'll feel like a Taylor Swift fan. And Taylor, if you're listening to this, I'd love to come to your VIP room. Thank you, good night.